Let me tell you about the moment the job search broke me. It was a Tuesday evening. I had applied to 63 roles over 11 weeks. Senior positions, roles I was more than qualified for, roles where I knew the domain better than most. I had tailored each application. I had updated my LinkedIn. I had done everything the career coaches said to do. And that Tuesday evening, I opened my inbox to find my 47th rejection email. Most of them were not even real rejections. They were automated. A single paragraph, no name, no feedback, sometimes just a subject line that said, "Update on your application." And you already knew before you even opened it what it said. I sat at my desk for 20 minutes without moving. Not sad, not angry, just empty, like something in my chest had quietly switched off. If you are in a job search right now, or have been, you know exactly what I am talking about. And I want you to know something before we go any further. What you are feeling is not weakness. It is not a sign that you should give up. It is not a sign that you are not good enough. It is a completely normal neurological response to one of the most psychologically punishing experiences a professional can go through. And today, I am going to walk you through exactly what is happening in your brain, what you must stop doing, what you must start doing, and how my Serene Sprints Resume and ATS playlist can make sure your effort actually reaches a human being in the first place. Stay with me. Most people understand that a job search is stressful. What they do not understand is exactly why it is so neurologically brutal, and why understanding that actually helps. Your brain has a built-in threat detection system centered in a structure called the amygdala. Its job, across thousands of years of evolution, was simple: detect danger, fire an alarm, get the body ready to respond. It is remarkable engineering for a world where threats were physical, immediate, and short-lived. A predator, a rival, a storm. A job search is none of those things. A job search is a prolonged, ambiguous, socially loaded form of uncertainty that stretches across weeks and sometimes months. And your amygdala, which was never designed for this, treats every rejection email, every silence after an interview, every day without a response, as a threat signal. Which means every single one of those moments triggers a small flood of cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate rises slightly, your sleep is disrupted, your appetite changes, your confidence narrows, your ability to think clearly, which is the exact thing you need most, becomes compromised. This is why the job search feels so disproportionately hard. It is not that you are fragile. It is that you are running a sustained stress response every single day with no clear endpoint in sight. And nobody warned you it would feel like this. Now, here is the piece that matters most for what we are about to discuss. The brain under chronic stress does something specific and unhelpful. It narrows its focus onto what is going wrong. It runs projections of future failure. It scans for evidence that things are hopeless. Psychologists call this negativity bias and catastrophic thinking. And in a job search, it manifests as a very particular voice inside your head. One that says things like, maybe nobody wants me. Maybe I have left it too late. Maybe this gap on my CV is going to disqualify me. Maybe that interview I thought went well actually went terribly. You know that voice. We all know it. What you need to know is this: that voice is not telling you the truth. That voice is telling you what a nervous system under sustained pressure is programmed to say. I want to spend some time on rejection because it is the single biggest driver of job search anxiety. And it is also the most misunderstood part of the process. Here is what most people believe about rejection: that it is a verdict on them. That a no from a hiring manager means something is wrong with them. That each rejection is evidence accumulating against their worth as a professional. I want to tell you clearly and directly that this is wrong. And I do not mean that in a motivational poster way, I mean it in a factual, mechanical way. The hiring process, especially at volume, is a matching process, not a grading process. A company has a very specific set of constraints: budget, team composition, internal politics, the preferences of one particular hiring manager, sometimes a candidate they already had in mind before the job was even posted. You are not being evaluated in the abstract. You are being filtered against a moving, invisible target that you cannot fully see. A rejection does not mean you failed the exam. It means you were not the right shape for that particular hole at that particular moment. Here is a number I want you to hold on to. Research on hiring patterns consistently shows that fewer than 15% of rejections are about candidate quality. The rest are about fit, timing, budget, internal preference, and sheer volume management. You are being rejected by a process, not by a person who has carefully weighed your worth and found you lacking. The second thing I want to say about rejection, and this is the harder, more important truth, is this: you must expect it. Not because the process is fair, because it is not, but because going into a job search expecting acceptance as the default and receiving rejection as the exception will destroy you psychologically within 3 weeks. The professionals who navigate job searches without losing their mental health are not the ones who never got rejected. They are the ones who understood that rejection was structurally inevitable at scale and treated every single application not as an audition for a verdict on their worth, but as a unit of probabilistic effort. Think about it this way. If your conversion rate in this industry is one offer for every 40 applications, which is a realistic number at senior levels, then every rejection is not a failure. Every rejection is a data point on the path to your 40. Rejection is not the opposite of success. Rejection is the mechanism through which success eventually arrives. The single most damaging thing you can do to yourself during a job search is to make your psychological state dependent on the outcome of each application. Because the outcome of each application is almost entirely outside your control. You cannot control whether the hiring manager had a bad morning. You cannot control whether they already have an internal candidate. You cannot control whether the role gets frozen mid-process. You cannot control any of it. What you can control is the quality and volume of your effort. And making your emotional state dependent on inputs rather than outputs is the psychological move that separates professionals who sustain momentum across months of searching from those who spiral into paralysis after week 4. Here is what focusing on inputs looks like in practice. Every morning, instead of opening your inbox first and waiting for the world to tell you something, you set a single daily number. Applications submitted, not responses received, not interviews secured. Applications submitted. 3 per day is excellent. 5 is outstanding. You hit that number and your day is a win, regardless of what your inbox says. This is not denial. You are not pretending the outcomes do not matter. They do. But outcomes are the result of accumulated inputs over time, and the only way to influence them is to stay consistent with the inputs. Every day you freeze, catastrophize, and do not apply is a day you mathematically reduce your chances. Every day you apply, even if it feels hopeless, even if you are tired, even if you got 3 rejections yesterday, you move the needle. The professionals who land roles during a difficult market are not the most talented. They are the most consistent. Consistency under pressure is the competitive advantage nobody talks about. Now, I want to address something that most job seekers do not know. And it is costing them enormously in terms of both effort and anxiety. Here is the reality of the modern hiring funnel at any company above 100 employees. When you submit your application through a company portal, it does not go directly to a recruiter. It goes first to an applicant tracking system, an ATS. This is software. Its job is to scan your resume against a set of pre-programmed keywords, formatting rules, and criteria, and to decide before any human being ever sees your application whether you are worth passing to the next stage. Studies estimate that 70 to 80% of resumes are eliminated by ATS before a single recruiter reads them. Let me say that again. If you are applying to roles and getting complete silence, no acknowledgement, no rejection, just nothing, the most likely explanation is not that you were reviewed and rejected. It is that you were never reviewed at all. Your resume was screened out by software before a human being ever saw your name. This is why so many job seekers feel invisible. They spend hours tailoring what they believe is a strong application, submit it, and hear nothing. And their brain, already running the anxiety loop we discussed earlier, interprets that silence as confirmation of their worst fears. When the truth is more mundane and more fixable, their resume was not optimized to pass through the machine that sits between them and the human. This is exactly why I built a dedicated playlist on this channel. It covers everything from how to read a job description to extract the exact ATS keywords, how to format your resume so the software can actually parse it, how to align your experience with what the algorithm is scanning for, and how to tailor each application without spending 2 hours on every role. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Before you submit another application, please watch at least the first video in that playlist. Because the most demoralizing thing I can imagine is a brilliant professional being invisible to a machine that never gave them a fair shot. Let me give you a concrete framework you can start using today. These are not motivational tips. These are practical mechanisms grounded in how the nervous system actually works. The first mechanism is what I call the daily effort ritual. Every morning before you open any inbox or any job portal, you spend 5 minutes writing down 3 things: the roles you are targeting today, the one thing you can do today that is fully within your control, and a single sentence about why you are worth hiring. Something specific from your track record. This is not affirmation culture. This is intentional cognitive priming. You are choosing what your brain focuses on before the noise of the day arrives. The second mechanism is application batching. Do not trickle applications throughout the day in between checking your phone for responses. Set a fixed window, 90 minutes every morning, where you do nothing but apply. Outside of that window, you are not thinking about your job search. You are living. This separation between effort and waiting is essential because it prevents the job search from colonizing every hour of your day and becoming the constant background hum that feeds anxiety. The third mechanism is the rejection log. Every time you receive a rejection, you write it down, not to dwell on it, but to count it. Because every rejection logged is a number that brings you closer to your eventual yes. Some of the most successful job seekers I know turned their rejection count into a goal. 40 rejections means 40 shots taken. 60 means 60. The number is not a wound. The number is evidence of effort. The fourth mechanism is strict inbox hygiene. Check your email twice a day, once at noon and once at 5. Not first thing in the morning, not last thing at night. The psychological research on variable reward cycles, which is what waiting for a response activates, shows that checking more frequently does not get you information faster. It just subjects you to more anxiety hits per day without benefit. The fifth mechanism is physical discharge. This sounds unrelated to job searching, but it is not. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, requires physical movement to metabolize. If you are sitting at a desk for 8 hours, searching and applying and waiting, the cortisol accumulates. A 30-minute walk after your application session does more to keep your head clear and your confidence stable than any mental strategy I can give you. Move the body. The mind follows. I want to say something directly because I think a lot of job search content skips this. If you are in the middle of a search right now, especially if it has been going on for months, especially if you are dealing with a gap in employment, especially if you are trying to transition into a new domain, the psychological toll is real. It is not a sign that you have failed. It is a sign that you are human, doing something genuinely hard, without a guaranteed timeline, without being able to see the finish line. Every professional who has ever landed a role went through exactly what you are going through. The gap between their last role and their next one was filled with exactly the same rejections, the same silences, the same moments of doubt. You are not behind schedule. There is no schedule. There is only the next application. Here is the thing about job searches that nobody tells you at the start. They do not end gradually. They end suddenly. One day, you are in the grind, filing another application, half convinced nothing is working. And then a conversation starts, a process moves fast, and within 2 weeks, your life is different. The search does not taper. It stops. And the only thing that determines whether you are still in the game when that moment arrives is whether you kept applying. You are one application away. Maybe not this one. Maybe not the next. But you are one application away. Keep going. Keep. Serene Sprints exists for exactly this, to help working professionals execute under pressure. And a job search is one of the highest pressure execution challenges there is. Here is what I want you to do right now. First, if you have not already watched the ATS and Resume Optimization playlist on this channel, that is your immediate next step. The link is in the description. Because before you send another application into the void, you deserve to know whether your resume is actually reaching a human being. Second, commit to 3 applications today, not tomorrow. Today, 3 applications. That is your number. Hit it and your day is a win. Third, if this video gave you something today, share it. There is someone in your network right now who is mid-search, quietly struggling and has not said a word about it. Send it to them. Be the person who gave them 15 minutes of clarity when they needed it most. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, where we keep executing even when the pressure is real.